Port Stephens, incredible by nature. With a bay twice the size of Sydney Harbour, rocky coastlines, and countless long white beaches, it's a stunning destination with surprises on every turn. Adding to that, Port Stephens is a fishing mecca, both inshore and offshore. In fact, it's most famous for its game fishing, but more on that later. Right now, we're going to experience some of the amazing estuary system with a seasoned local, fishing legend Paul Lennon from Fish Port Stephens Estuary Charters.
Mate, you've got absolute miles and miles of mangrove rivers on top of everything else to explore.
Yeah, never ends in Port Stephens, but a nice incoming tide, and the flattys should be laying up in these little gaps between the mangroves. So you've got about 10 metres of sand, and then you're onto the weed. Most of the time they're going to be on that sand line up right into the backs of the mangroves. Once you get a third back to the boat, you can generally rip it back in and have another cast. The more time you can get in those prime zones, the better.
Cast out where Paul's pointed out some good spots, let it sink to the bottom. There it goes, hits the bottom, and your classic flathead fishing, you've got to stay in contact with the bottom, so lift it up. I like to give it a good pulse. I see Paul's doing the same to let the flatties know it's there, especially when the water's murky, and be in control on the drop, because that's often when you get the bite. If you wax again, get it down, watch it drop, line relaxes, it's on the bottom, and being there, you'll feel the bite and you're ready to hook. So it's pretty straightforward, and it's just about got one there. We're using soft plastics, hopping them across the bottom on the way back. This one here is a new atomic reel baits. They model that off real fish. Looks like pilchard, this one, but they've also got mullet and herring. Beauty of a soft plastic, of course, is a single hook rides up, so it doesn't get snagged on weed and rocks, and it's great for catch and release fishing. Yeah, pretty fond of these little beauties. They're getting bigger, mate.
Yeah, it's starting to get a bit more. I like it.
Yeah, there's a nice fish. It's a fantastic flatty fishery here, mate.
It is. Good numbers and big fish too.
Yeah, we'll get him back.
Besides flathead, Paul targets bream, whiting and jewfish, just to name a few. And when the bait fish are on, he'll chase pelagics that come into the bay.
Got him. You double hook up. Anything can happen here, eh? We're just motoring across the bay and little bust-ups. You see a bit of this, Paul?
Yeah, often this time of year you get these small little pelagics come in the bay, the bonito, frigate mackerel, little mac tuna, tailor, they real mix. I think these are little mine come off, little Watson's leaping bonito, these ones.
Beautiful fish. We normally associate this with super clear ocean water.
Yeah, that's it. They're funny buggers, but they seem to come into the bay and chase those little really small little bait fish, white bait. We've done well to get one on a lure that size, actually.
Yeah, they normally like little metal slugs. Yeah. All right, we'll pop him back in the water. Beautiful.
Sometimes the bait fish schools attract bigger predators. Using surface lures to imitate a fleeing garfish, Paul put me onto a thumping longtail tuna in just 5 metres of water.
Cast in and bang, and they're big longtail here. It's shallow water, it's only 3-4 metres deep, so I've got my work cut out for me.
Without the option to go deep, the fish took a mile of line, and we had to give chase and get creative. It was a manic but magic encounter, and my biggest longtail to date in protected waters. These fish are a sustainable catch, and while half of them are released, this one was destined to become fresh sashimi back at the Halifax Holiday Park. Motoring around this huge bay offers the opportunity to see some stunning scenery and some incredible marine life. There are over 100 Indo-Pacific dolphins that live permanently in the waters of Port Stephens. And it's no wonder. The waters we're fishing are part of the Port Stephens Great Lakes Marine Park. Marine parks are special areas set aside to conserve marine environmental values for everyone to share. So when you're fishing or boating in marine parks, please make sure you follow marine park rules and be fully aware of the zoning maps for every outing. You can download the New South Wales Marine Park zoning maps for mobile devices online for free. Despite the recent poor weather, just about every new location we threw lures at produced a fish. Paul definitely knows his trade.
Paul's grown up in the area, fished this beach as a little tacker. He absolutely loves it. This is a nice flathead. Absolutely loves it. Now he's guiding, 250 days of the year. And I love me fishing, and wouldn't be far behind me or in front of me in terms of how much he loves it. He's just unstoppable. But there's a beautiful fish, and most of the days he gets fish of that calibre. What's the biggest flatty you've caught here, mate?
Oh, we've caught a few over a metre in the bay.
It's a metre?
Yeah, metre flatties, and get a lot around that sort of 80 centimetre mark, and quite a few 90s, and occasionally get the holy grail metres.
Yeah, big flathead, so...
Proper fish.
All right, we'll get her back.
If you want to experience estuary fishing at its best, spend a day or two with Paul Lennon. You'll find him at fishportstevensestuarycharters.com. Now you all know how important it is to have a fully functional life jacket. They save lives, and you can't take them lightly. It's also important that you know your life jacket and keep it serviced. I asked New South Wales Maritime's Gavin Beck to run through some basic checks, starting with a pre-wear check, which I do before every trip.
Pre-wear check, very, very easy. You don't even have to take the life jacket apart. So a couple of things to consider is grab the mechanism, the firing mechanism with your left hand, and give the gas cylinder a couple of clockwise twists, just to make sure that that's fully seated. That's really important to make sure that the jacket will fire its full gas charge if you do have to use it in an emergency. A couple of other things to look at, a very, very quick and easy visual check, is this style of life jacket with this UML mechanism. It actually has go, no go gauge. So you can tell there, Rob, can you see that? It's
Two greens.
Two greens.
Yep.
What happens if I do this?
Yeah, one green and one red.
Yeah, so it means it's not armed. And this is the water activation trigger. And this is the gas cylinder. So same deal with the gas cylinder. If that's not fully seated,
Yep.
it will show red or green or parts thereof.
Yeah, great. Too easy.
Final thing to make sure is this is ready and accessible should you need to pull that in an emergency.
And this side of the jacket, Gavin, is important too.
That side of the jacket is very important from perspective, have you service your life jacket and document it. We call it record of servicing, and I can tell straight away here that your jacket from a service perspective has been serviced. So how do I know that? It's got your purchase date written in there. A lot of people aren't aware that need to write up or write in there the purchase date. The other thing, people ask me, what are these spanners for? And pretty simple answer there is they signify those yearly services.
You're noticing people aren't doing their yearly service, right? And that's not good, is it?
The implications can be dire. The life jacket can and may not work if you do not do that servicing. So super important for the folks at home to do your research, look at what the manufacturer specific instructions are and service it. This is the lineup of shame that I've collected throughout my travels. This has clearly been serviced and checked, these cylinders here, and then it just goes on. Once these cylinders start corroding, they don't stop, and the potential there is they actually can start to eat the bladder material away, or in this case here, it's actually seized the mechanism, and that obviously is not going to function as advertised if it's required in an emergency.
Hugely important, everyone, that you do the annual service. People out there just aren't doing it, and it means that life jacket could fail. Now, if you're not sure what to do, you can go to an authorised agent, they do it for you, but I'm going to encourage you to do it yourself. I get all mine once a year, line them all up. I know then that my family and friends are going to be safe when they come out on the boat with me, and I also know that I'm going to get safely home, which they're happy about too. And you can learn all about that and all the different jackets and how to service them at lifejacketwearit.com.au. Auto-inflating jackets and manual inflating. Tell us about them and some of the misconceptions, please, mate.
It's as simple as this. Mine says automatic. So automatic jacket, quite easy. I'll just open this up again and I'll show you the features that discern an automatic jacket. So firing mechanism, gas cylinder, and the trigger down here. This is how I know by looking at the configuration of the life jacket that it is an automatic life jacket. Note as well, it still has a manual firing lanyard as an option. So switching over manual, how do we know? Easiest way, again, it says manual. The mechanism looks slightly different. So note the manual pull lanyard, it's missing the automatic trigger. And all else fails, we've got this. The manual inflator. So we can use it to blow up the life jacket, top it up, or tip the cap over to deflate the life jacket after your annual service.
Look, I'm a big fan of the auto ones, but people believe if it rains heavily, they're going to go off.
They can actually tolerate quite a lot of water on the life jacket, and the reason why is have a look at where the immersion holes are.
Yeah, right.
So it requires full immersion. This is a glass of water that I prepared earlier, Rob.
There you go. And I've had these things in torrential rain, and you pretty much have to be submerged. So we've got the test one here, which hasn't been serviced for a couple of years. I fall in the water for that. I've been knocked unconscious. I'm on my own. You would hope that the auto inflation canister would set it off and right me up. If not, I have the toggle here to pull, okay, which I would pull, and no go. What are the main reasons that can happen, mate?
Yeah, the main reasons that I'm seeing out and about, a loose cylinder. Daily wear check will cover that.
Great.
And
she's loose.
She's loose, okay. Second reason is corroded cylinder.
Yeah.
Third reason, it's been fired.
Definitely don't put a pre-fired one in. Go and get a new one that costs you 20 bucks.
Yeah, one use only, those cylinders.
Yeah. All right, well, the next one is to actually jump in the water. All right.
Glad you volunteered, Rob. That's perfect, Rob. Worked as advertised. And just remember, to return the life jacket to service, it'll need a full service and a new gas cylinder, and it'll be back up and ready to save your life another day.
Look, I've been knocked unconscious, I've had a stroke, I've fainted, or for whatever reason I can't swim on my own, a cramp. This thing's got my back, I'm afloat. I'm gonna get home to see my family. So please, people, do your pre-wear check. Make sure you do your annual service, book it in right now, and jump on lifejacketwearit.com.au and work out how to do it, and you'll stay alive. Port Stephens offers a variety of gamefish species in sizes and numbers that are truly world class. Calypso is a fully equipped 47-foot sports fishing vessel that will take you to the offshore hotspots. And all you need to bring is your sense of adventure. There's two main techniques we're using here today, and they're both very visual. The first is switch baiting. You actually tow around the lure without hooks in it, as crazy as that sounds. It works really well because the marlin come up, they take it, they don't get hooked, and they get really angry. Sometimes you sow a belly flap of tuna into that as well to give them a bit of taste. Gets them real mad, you bring the teasers out the way, and you pitch back one of these beauties, which is a slimy mackerel. There's heaps of them on the bait fish ground on a circle hook, and at that point, the marlin's ready to eat it. You can also use a live one of those as well, and there's plenty of them out here. So that's your first technique. The second technique we're trying is skip baiting. So basically we have one of these out on the outrigger, and it's just dancing along the top. The marlin comes up, whacks it, snatches it. Got a little bit of slack line. Hopefully that's enough to let him eat that, and that circle hook does the job and hooks him in the corner of the mouth. Both very exciting techniques because they bring the marlin up to the bait and you get to see the bite. And true to form, the switch bait gets the prize.
Get that bait back further, mate. Yep. And the live bait is on deck.
Is on the live bait?
Yeah, he's on living.
Oh yeah! All right, this is what it's all about. The boys just did that like clockwork. Marlin came up on the teaser. We had a skip bait and a live bait ready, pitched it back, and yeah, we're on a nice marlin, jumping away there. What an experience. You've got to do it at least once in your lifetime if you love fishing. To see that fish come out of the water. So we're using circle hooks here, which are great for catch and release fishing because you get the fish in the corner of the mouth. And he's made a couple of jumps early on, but classic
circle hook striped marlin, you know, he's slugging it out down deep.
The jump suddenly stopped. For some reason, this fish was not behaving normally.
He's tail wrapped, which is why he's fighting so hard. But look at that fish. Look at the beautiful colours in that striped marlin. There he goes. Woo!
Done, Rob.
That explains why he was fighting so hard for a 70-kilo striped marlin. We hooked him in the tail. Usually circle hooks get him in the corner of the mouth, but had it in the tail, you could see the colours on that fish. He's going to be absolutely fine. He's off to migrate and whatever. Benny's up the top giving me heaps.
We'll go and catch another one. We'll hook him in the mouth this time. Yeah, he's on the left teaser, on right teaser, right teaser.
Woo! The East Australian current brings down some amazing fish with it, and the New South Wales coast is just a fantastic spot for a brilliant run of striped marlin, but in particular Port Stephens, where we are here, is just iconic. If you can get to Port Stephens, the size and number of striped marlin you can get here just 20 miles out it's world class. It's all happening here at the moment. I've got a nice little striped marlin on. We're backing down on him, trying to keep the line tight, and there's another marlin swimming around as well. Woo! Woo! Here we go. Oh, he's off, okay. That's what we want. To the untrained eye, you might say, oh, what happened? The hook failed. No, that's actually perfect. The main line on the reels is 50 pound, we've got about 120 pound leader. Once the deckhands grab that leader and start pulling, you're putting on so much more force on the hook than you are through the rod alone, and you want the hook to bend open and come up like that. Fish swims off with no hook on it, so either that or it cuts near the mouth. It's absolutely perfect release, so that is a good sign.
We're fishing on Calypso just off Port Stephens, and marlin number 3 has just taken the bait.
Woo! 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 He's off this one. There he goes. Nice one. This is a good one. He's smoking. Chasing this guy all across the ocean. Probably the hardest bit is when they take a run and then turn towards the boat, or you're chasing them down. Look, listen to that. He's still going, because you've got to keep... He's still going. There he is. Woo-hoo!
Striped marlin.
We're wrapped around his bill there. There he is there, beautiful Port Stephens striped marlin. You can spend a fortune working out how to tag or catch these guys, but the best thing is to come out with the real gurus like the folks on Calypso here. They'll do everything. They've got all the knowledge, all the equipment, and it's the cheapest way to do it rather than buying it all yourself. And you're going to catch one of these puppies. Look at that. A beautiful striped marlin. What a predator. Woo!
Well done.
Yeah, thank you, boys.
Well done, mate. Number 3. They go a bit better when you hook them in the mouth, don't they?
I'll tell you what, the boys on Calypso, I can't fault them. I get to go on a lot of marlin boats, and these guys are top of their game.
3 magnificent marlin in one great day. Experience the thrill for yourself on board Calypso. Check them out at marlinfishingaustralia.com.au. This region is not just about fishing. It's the perfect holiday destination. You'll never be stuck for things to do in Port Stephens. By the way, you won't be stuck for accommodation either, with loads of options. My pick is a cabin at Halifax Park. It's one of 5 local council holiday parks, and it's right on the bay. Now, I'm a keen conservationist, so before I left, I had to visit the Port Stephens Koala Sanctuary, a worthy collaboration between Port Stephens Council and local volunteer groups.
The quality of care that a koala receives when it comes to the Port Stephens Koala Sanctuary, and indeed the hospital, is world class, with the intention, of course, releasing them back out into the wild.
If you're keen, you can stay right here amongst the koalas in relative luxury.
Waking up with a koala is the experience. Breakfast in your glamping tent, then an exclusive private tour prior to the sanctuary opening to the general public.
Right in it, you're living in it.
Without
And
a doubt.
It's got to be some of the best cabins I've ever seen right amongst it.
It's conservation via education, so we want people to understand the many plights that this unique Australian icon suffers from.
Just one of many great family activities for you to encounter outside of fishing. Port Stephens is waiting for you. Find out more about this incredible destination at portstephens.org.au.